If you feel like you're not woman enough, if you feel scared of losing your virginity, of getting pregnant, of losing your child, of experiencing a breakup, because you think that your life would literally be ruined if you were to experience something like that, and you would literally not want to continue life having had that experience, I just need you to know that you are so much stronger than that. And you can, in fact, because you are so much more a woman than you think. And it is in you. You can't lose it. There's nothing you could do, even if you wanted to lose the ability to find back to yourself, to lose that you have what it takes. You can't lose the fact or the ability or the capacity that you have what it takes. I mean, look at animals. Animals inherently know the nature of life. They're so much more primitive in a way that doesn't make them less than, but actually makes them more connected to the nature of life. They live in nature. They know so much more about the nature of life. They're so much wiser in that way than someone who's been so disconnected from nature. And when I look at animals and how they react to the treacherous nature of reality, it just shows how to react, actually, because nature will show you. They know so much more than we have so much to learn from them. Wisdom and knowledge has always been something that you can learn through observation, even with things that are inanimate, like even inanimate objects. The way that physics was observed and all the things about physics were observations of inanimate objects reacting to like physical forces and the laws of physics in general. You don't need to be scared, and I know that you don't think you have it in you, but actually you do have it in you. And I know that you're not going into these relationships and you're avoiding them, or even if you are going into them, you're anxiously avoidant because you think that you couldn't handle it and it would take all of you. And that's why subconsciously you're sabotaging and avoiding. And I just need you to know that there's a part of you that doesn't believe in yourself, and that there's so much evidence to prove that that belief is false and that it is limiting. You're so much more powerful than you think. This is just the nature of life. Okay? Like, I know it's hard, and I know you don't want to hear this right now, and it's not easy to hear that and listen and try to incorporate that as a fact of this reality, because it is tragic in a way. But then again, that's nature, and that's the nature of things. It's yin and yang, you know? Like, it's bound to be tragic at some points. But that doesn't mean it's the end of it all, you know? It just means that you're alive. And if you were to block that part out of your life, trying not to experience it ever, you would never ever get to live. You can't block fear without blocking life. You know, I saw this documentary, and it was about a pack of wolves. And in that pack of wolves, there was a mother, and she had a little child. And the documentary went on, and things happened, and she actually lost that child. And I was so triggered by that because it confronted me with the reality of one of my biggest fears happening. And to me, it was so shocking to see how wise and how, like, I don't actually have the word for it, but it was just shocking to see the way that this wolf mother handled that situation. Of course, there was grief. Of course, she was taken aback and she was emotionally, she reacted to that. She had a response, and it's not like it didn't matter to her. She didn't feel any effects on her soul, on her heart, or emotionally. But in the end, she just continued and life went on, and it just showed me this. I just saw something so wise and something so weathered, but in a graceful way, in that animal and in that wolf. And it just showed me that wolves and like animals in general, they live in nature so much that they're so much more connected to the nature of things. And it's not that life-ending occurrence where she immediately gets suicidal. It's just a part of nature, of the nature of life. And the way she handled that so gracefully, and it was just, I don't know, it was just such a reminder where I just thought it was an important thing to say, that if you are struggling in the way where you are afraid to lose your virginity, or afraid to experience a breakup, or experience a pregnancy, or even experience the death of your child, and that fear is so big that it causes you to avoid that whole topic in general and just isolate, then I just need you to know that you are woman enough and you are strong, and it's not something that you can lose. You did not lose it. You did not be born inefficiently in a way where you feel like, no, I was never born with that capacity. You did. You were born with it, and you couldn't lose it even if you tried. And even though you feel right now like you don't have that in you, and it was never there, and you weren't born with it, and so there's no way you could attain that, and things would just be over in that case where you were to experience things like the ones I mentioned before. If that feels like life ending and like the end of the world to you, then that's so valid, and I feel you, I really do. But I just need you to know that it doesn't have to stay that way, and that it doesn't mean that life has to be so treacherous, because in the same way that it's the nature of life to have treacherous elements in it, the same way it's the nature of you to be strong enough to navigate those treacherous waves. And when you look out into the ocean and the waves are crashing left and right and things are treacherous and wild, that's the same water that carries ships and saves people, It's just the duality of these things. It's just yin and yang. It's the same water that allows fish to have a place to exist, that allows so many animals to have a home. It's the same place that kills so many things, that actually allows life for so many things. And that's just the duality of things, It's literally elemental stuff we're talking about here. You're not doing anything wrong. You've probably, maybe, I don't know, I'm not I didn't study this, but intuitively I would just say that we've been so disconnected from nature that, of course, the nature of life just doesn't seem like second nature to us. It's not natural that our intuition would think of these things the way that we should be thinking of them, which is that things are just like that, yin and yang and duality, that is just the way of life, we wouldn't know them. We wouldn't know these things. It isn't that obvious when you're so disconnected from nature. But when you look at animals living in nature, they know more about nature than we do, and in a wider sense, even more about the nature of life than we do, because they do live in nature and we are very disconnected from it, especially in the Western world. And I just don't want you to feel like you've done anything wrong. That again, like in and of itself, the fact that our society has developed in a way that has like put us further and further away from this nature and further into industrialized and urbanized living is also just like, sociologically speaking, the way that life sometimes just works out. Like, you develop certain efficiencies and certain features in a society that can drive progress and innovation forward, but at the same time you do have to, like, something has to give, you know? Western cultures, they're disconnected from nature but connected to knowledge and scientific research and health innovations and health, like, there's a word for that, but there's a word for this, but I can't think of it. Like, what I'm trying to say is just and it's just proof that you can live life and things can happen and you don't have to avoid risks. You can just adopt a mentality of whatever is to come will make you wiser and will add this shining armor of having seen what's out there, you know? Like, she's seen things and she's been there and she's done that, and it gives her a weathered wisdom that you can't get anywhere else. Like, it's experience that forges these swords, you know? Like, you can't replicate or duplicate. And society, whether it's in communities of wolves or in communities of humans, needs this experience and needs this wisdom. And whatever it is that you were to experience, that you could be experiencing, that life could be throwing at you, I just need you to know that it'll not be for nothing, and it'll actually be for something very, very special. And tragedies are part of life, and we're not here to, if there's anything worth living for, it's helping others. And so if that could mean that you would become a person that has experienced certain things that only you has, if that means that you've become someone that so many people were looking for, then there's at least some good in it in the end. And of course there was going to be some good in it. And that's just the nature of life. Yin and yang, you know, tragic things happen, but there's always going to be good in it. And good things are going to happen, but there's always going to be tragic and tragedy. And that's not something to be fearful of. Sometimes we just need to adopt the mentality of that she-wolf, where we're just sobering up to the reality that this is the nature of things. And when you sober up like that, it does harden a part of you. And I know you might be sad about that, but that part that gets harder is actually your strength. And without getting hardened in that sense, you wouldn't be able to defend yourself, and you would be so vulnerable, and you would be weak and dependent of other people. And because you would be so fearful of even going into these situations, and that's why you were anxiously avoiding, and subconsciously sabotaging. Your subconscious knows how you really feel about things. And if you really feel like you're gonna die, then things like that will not work out for you, because you would, your subconscious is trying to protect you. As soon as you can communicate, or rather, as soon as you can get to that point inside of yourself that you don't feel that way about things anymore, that's when you communicate to your subconscious that you're not afraid and you're not gonna die, and that's when you're not gonna be self-sabotaging or blocking the things you actually want.